Hi, I'm
Yeah,
Rasad
Brian.
Bryan from hostelmanagement.com. I'm here today with Akil Malik, one of the founders of Zostel, which is India's first, only, and leading hostel chain that is booming right now. Akil, thank you so much for being with me this evening.
Thanks a lot for the nice words, Brian. It's a pleasure for us, and it's a matter of it's a pride for us to be here. We are trying to do certain things in India which were already missing here. When we went out, when we saw that this concept is working so well outside India, be it Oceania or be it Europe, we're really delighted and we wanted to desperately bring it back to India. And till now, so far so good. We have been pretty successful, and hopefully we will be able to lead a backpacking revolution in this country. That's what we want to do.
That sounds fantastic. I'm curious about the hostels themselves, but before we get into that, I always like to know who we're talking to. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into hostels?
Sure. So we are actually a group of friends. We met back in college while we were doing our management. So we are students of Indian Institute of Management and Indian Institute of Technology. So these two are the premier institutes of technology and management in India. So again, four of us, we were in the same dorm, in the same hostel. We came together and we were all travel freaks. We used to go out every weekend, even on weekdays, bunking our classes, going out on some solo trips everywhere around. So yeah, so there was a sort of connect that we wanted to do something, and we really love to travel. We wanted to do something about it. And we had already seen the corporate. We, in fact, worked for 3 to 4 years in business consulting, banking, from different sorts of background in leading companies like Accenture Management Consulting, Bain and Company, Mahindra and Mahindra in India, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. So we knew what was waiting for us in the corporate. So we really wanted to live our 2 years of management. And then somehow, I would say this idea struck us when we went out. Some of us went out backpacking outside India. We saw that this concept of hostels, it's so popular in Europe. So we stayed in every possible hostel outside of India, be it generator plus hostels. We realized that it's a different way of traveling, and we were immediately hooked to it. We realized that this needs to be there in India as well. So four of us came together while still being in college. We sort of collected some money, bootstrapped, through our friends and family, started two very small hostels in Jaipur and Jodhpur, two cities in the state of Rajasthan in India. And boy, it worked really well. Within 1.5 months, we ranked one on various OT portals. We're getting good reviews in Hostel World. We ranked one on TripAdvisor in the city. So we thought there's a lot of demand for this sort of service in India. And I was just wondering that why there was no such chain already present in the country. There were a few standalone hostels in Goa, state of Goa, but there was no such chain who had like an ambition to spread across India and to serve the backpackers in this country. That got us together, and then we started to participate in various business plan competitions while still being in college. So we participated in around 14 business plan competitions, including Wharton India Economic Forum and Richard Ivey Canada. And we ended up winning all of them, all 14. So some of the investors got interested in us, and we got our first term sheet, our first round of funding. So we were happy as hell. We knew that this is what we love and this is what we want to do in our life. And if there is someone who's ready to fund it, who cares for the corporate shit? So we stayed clear of our placements, and we went out and we started 5 more hostels. So right now we are sitting at 7 hostels, and in fact the experience has been lovely staying with friends. Yeah, it has been really good till now.
It's a fantastic story. And so you guys basically, you came in with all this extra, all this, the fantastic corporate experience, corporate knowledge, all of these things about how to run the business, how to market a business, how to operate everything. Then you said, buck the system, jump on in, and chase down a totally different dream that is completely and totally your own.
Precisely.
That's
so
fantastic.
Yeah, that connected us. Yeah, in fact, so some of our batchmates were working at the time when we started off. So one was working with Sony, other was working with Indus Valley Partners. They quit their jobs the day we said that we are going to start this. So excited, they came on ground. And we are a big team. We are a team of 7 co-founders. All 7 of us are friends. We've never had any issue. Because everyone told us we're a big team, right? You're going to have ego issues. You're going to have clashes. But the point is that's not what drives us. What drives us is we really want to lead a good life, and we really want to leave a mark. We love traveling. Until the time we are doing that and we are enabling others to do that, we are happy.
That is great. When you guys came into the market, or before you came into the market, you said that there were no hostel chains out there. There were backpackers hostels, at least a few, weren't there?
Yeah, there were. In
What
fact, in
did
the
the scene
state,
look like?
there's a group called Hostel Crowd. So these guys had already started a couple of hostels. So one was called Jungle, one was called Prison. So these two hostels were there, but again, backpacking in India and hostel culture in India was limited to that part of the country, which is Goa. Because Goa is a party capital, it's open, right? But in the rest of the country, rest in the hinterlands, in the mainland, there was no hostel. So only option you had if you are a budget traveler was either to stay in dingy guest houses, right? There's nothing regarding security, hygiene, nothing is guaranteed, right? So either you do that or you spend hell lot of money staying in these 4-star, 5-star, 3-star hotels. But that again doesn't suit the schedule that a backpacker has. And you didn't have to stay in a hotel. Why would you want to stay at a place, a scenic place, sitting in your room watching television, right? Not talking to people, confined within four walls. So it's not just, I would say, it's affordable. It's a very different way of traveling. It's a very communal, social way of traveling, right? So that's being affordable is just a byproduct. There were a few hostels, but I would say there was no sort of in the mainland. Most of the people did not know about hostels, so
Okay.
they were just offering a couple of hostels, and we thought that we will organize this segment and we will spread across the country as soon as possible.
So you came in and basically had a clean slate. You could start from scratch and basically invent the hostel industry where you were opening.
Exactly, exactly. Because we had a chance to basically shape this, frame this entire market for at least I would say Indian subcontinent. Because the problems are similar everywhere around India. Also, in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. So we have Nepal, right? Even a place like Nepal where so many tourists come in, there are no hostel chains, there are no hostels. So we thought that this is a nice blue ocean where we can probably implement whatever we have learned till now, and we can start something good.
Yeah. And the hostels, you said you have 7 of them now. How big are your hostels? How many beds?
Sure. So the initial two hostels, as I told you, were 25 bed properties, very small properties. And the biggest one we have is 120 beds in Delhi,
Okay.
120 beds. So ideally, the sweet spot that we have found out is somewhere around 50 to 60 bed property. So most of our hostels are in this range, 45 to 60. That's the range of any hostel typically. And, excuse me. And yeah, so in total, in these 7 hostels, we have around 450 beds in total. The
Okay.
average size, yeah, that's what we thought. Because if it's too big, it becomes difficult to give individual attention to a backpacker. It becomes too crowded. And if it's too small, the economies of scale don't work out. So we thought, at least for India, 60 or 50 is the ideal size with which we are comfortable.
Okay. And the finances all work so that at 50 or 60, that is the ideal spot where you can have the intimacy and at the same time enough income to support the team and the staff and the expenses.
Precisely, that's correct. Yeah, that was the
That's
plan.
great. That's great. And as you expand, you intend to continue about right at that size then, because that's what makes sense.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
That's what we are. Yeah.
And as you're opening, are you finding that the hostels that you're opening are vastly different from the hostels that you've seen in your own travels in other areas where maybe backpacking is more developed in the areas, Europe or Australasia? Are you finding that in those areas the hostels are very different, or are yours something unique? Are they similar, following a similar model? How would you describe yours?
Frankly, Brian, to be very honest, what we have done, we have researched for 2 to 3 months in Europe. We have stayed in all, as I told you, in most of the hostels. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to bring those best practices into the country, right? We want to introduce the flavor of India, but whatever in terms of facilities, the best practice, we want to introduce that to this country. For example, there is something called a female-only dom in our hostels, which we thought would be more suitable for people who are not, for ladies or for girls who are not suited, not sort of comfortable staying in a mixed dorm. That is something we introduced in India, right? But still, I would say in terms of infrastructure, we do have to face issues in this country. Reason being, if we start in a place like Varanasi or in a place like Udaipur, Wi-Fi is a common complaint that we hear from our customers, but we can't do anything about it. The maximum speed available in that part of the city is that much only. We have taken the fastest connection in the city, but still, in terms of infrastructure, there is not much we can do in these things. But wherever it's possible, be it in terms of hygiene, be it in terms of security, be it in terms of the atmosphere that we create, we try to bring in all the best practices from whatever we have learned, secondary research, primary research, through our own experiences, And obviously, we also want to add a flavor of India, right? All our hostels have artwork which is specific to India. We try to sort of try to celebrate festivals in our hostels, Indian festivals. And we are not just focused on, I would say, the foreign travelers coming to India. That is something very different from our vision. What we want is, what we have seen is that Indians as a group or as a community, they travel pretty less as compared to, I would say, the Western counterparts. This concept of gap years in your country, still not there in India, right? What we want is we want to introduce a backpacking revolution. People probably take some time off and take some time to basically think about themselves, think about their lives, right? Backpack across at least your country, know about your country. So our vision is to make India travel more. And also at the same point of time, I would say, also serve the people who are coming from outside India who want to see the real India. Because there is a lot of negative connotation about this India that has been spread out, right? Being a big country, there are a few sundry incidences. There are a few people who try to cheat you, but that's everywhere what we believe. So if we can cut that clutter through use of technology, right? If we can introduce right people to right customers, I think that would be a big plus. So serving the Indian people, making them travel more, and serving the people who also who know about backpacking and but who don't have sort of who don't feel comfortable coming to India. We really want to cater to these two.
So you're actually providing a whole lot more than just accommodation. You're really kind of catering to the entire cultural exchange within the country, outside the country, bringing everything together. It's more of an educational platform in addition to accommodation.
Exactly. We're trying to do that. Definitely, we're trying to do that. In fact, we do have plans. We have got into tie-ups with certain local vendors. For example, if you are going to a trip to Udaipur, you would want to see the cobbler, the local shoemaker, right? So we organize these city tours, and we organize these cycle tours. So in Varanasi, we organize this river bank tour. So we are at this point of time not charging anything for this, or it's a voluntary payment, whatever you want to pay. All we want is come here, you want to see the real India, you see the actual India. Whatever is being spread out in the media is not the truth. It's like what people want to see, media feeds them the same thing. Make your own decision. There are good people, there are few bad apples, but that's everywhere. If you are smart enough, you'll find people and you'll have a good experience.
Okay. So you're not only educating, you're introducing, you're spreading the good things about everything, not only of the culture, not only of India, but in fact you're doing this completely spreading the culture of hostels.
Exactly.
You guys have gone beyond just opening your own hostels. You guys are now expanding to bring other people into this industry with your entrepreneurship development program, which is something really rather unique. Could you tell us a little bit about what is the entrepreneurship development program that you've orchestrated, and how does it work?
Sure. So Brian, actually, as I told you, we were opening these hostels. We started these 7 hostels. But what we realized was this is a time-consuming process. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of, I would say, bandwidth as far as founders are concerned. So if we keep growing at this pace, we thought it will take us 1.5 to 2 years to just cover the India, right? And our intention is not just to stay in India. We want to be a global youth travel brand, right? So for that, our mandate is we want to spread real fast. We want to expand real fast, and we cannot do that alone. We want people who believe in this concept, who understand this concept, who maybe due to certain reasons are not able to start it. We are lucky, we got a team which stuck together and we sort of executed it. But there are a lot of people out there in colleges, young students, or probably people who are stuck in the rut of their jobs, who want to quit and do something, who love to travel, who love to experience new cultures, who want to interact with guests, but they're not able to do that because they don't have a team, right? So what we thought was, because as I told you, our vision is to spread backpacking in India to make travel more. We put our entire business plan, all our business secrets on our website. So if you go to your website, there's a tab called BU. There is a 55 slider presentation over there. It tells you everything about what Zostel does, from our financials, how much capital expenditure is going to be there, what sort of operating expense you can expect, what sort of occupancy you can expect, how much is the payback period, everything is down there. What people consider as their business secret, it's there in the public, right? So it's basically a call for people who want to start their own hostels. Please go ahead, start it. If you want to come along with us, literally we are not charging anything. All we want, till the time you are able to maintain a certain level of quality standard, we'll be sort of taking a good for sort of on a monthly basis, we'll be having a look at your reviews. And in case you are able to ensure that quality, we'll be happy to help you out. So basically, we have a big team here. We have around 150 people, and we have a specialized team for online travel, OTAs, for offline sales, marketing, branding, staff training. We can do all that for you. All you need to do is your deliverable is that you need to maintain that certain quality standard because you have that Zostel signboard in front of you. So till the time you have that signboard, it's our responsibility that you maintain the operations. Till the time you're doing that, take whatever financials or whatever is coming out of it. We just want our customers to be happy, and we'll be helping you out in whichever way possible. So this was the entire pitch, and we got around 2,000 applications with, I would say, total investment commitment of 1 billion rupees, Indian rupees. So there are a lot of people who wanted to invest a good amount of money and start their properties. We selected finally around 100 people, and in next 4 to 5 months, we are going to come up with at least 40 properties in this country, including a few international locations as well. Right.
So you're expanding even all around India and beyond.
Yeah, we have already closed a property in Pattaya in Thailand. We closed a couple of properties in Nepal, but because of the unfortunate earthquake, it's going to be starting next year. One we are in talks with Ho Chi Minh City and couple in Sri Lanka. We want to cover the entire Southeast Asian market. Rest 30-35 properties are going to come up in India. We have already signed 10 to 15 properties. Rest are still in the process. So yeah, the plan is 6 months, finish off this entire, I would say the entire Indian subcontinent. And after that, we have plans. We have a team of tech team. So we have certain plans how we want to monetize it or how we want to going forward extend it. But right now, we really want to introduce this concept to the country.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious about the monetizing because you said that you are not charging any kind of franchise fees and people aren't paying to participate in this program where you're essentially going to teach them everything they might need to know about how to start up and how to run their hostel. So then I was curious, obviously you need to make money on this somehow. Where is the financial stability coming from? Is that something you can tell me?
So Brian, actually we are in a fortunate situation. I would say that we are a VC funded company. We raised our seed round of funding from a Malaysia-based investor when we ended up winning Water in the Economic Forum, right, last year. So now we have secured our Series A round of investment from Tiger Global. So from other than just being a hostel chain, we are also into a separate brand called Zorooms, which is a budget hotel aggregator, right? So that's a separate business model. So basically, the target segment of that business model is business travelers and corporates and families. For Zostel, it's backpackers and leisure travelers. So again, in terms of funding, we are decently placed. And right now, our entire focus for, I would say, next 6 months is to carve out a very big brand, right? In terms of monetization, we do have plans. Probably going forward, we may enter into travel activity market, which is another big area, right? So the way people book their tours right now, there's a lot of technology that can be introduced to that, right? And other than that, we are pretty soon also coming up with a backpacker app, which will have a whole lot of functionalities. We are working on it. It will be sort of a community, right? So even right now, our intention, as I told you, whatever losses we are running, the 6-7 properties we are running, they are all profitable, right? Going forward, when as far as our EDP franchisees are concerned, so we are charging them a small fees of 15% of the bookings that we give them. So it's basically, if they take any online booking, they eventually have to pay up 12 to 15% to any OTA channel, right? If we are taking that 15%, it doesn't matter for them because they in any case are paying to XYZ. What we are trying to do is probably from other OTAs we get those 15%. If we are able to market your property and monetize it well, we will be sort of we will be making money out of it also. And again, because it's they who are running the property, it's their operating expenses. They need the money. We are a small team of around 40 people sitting in the office. As we grow, we don't require more money because ultimately we'll be providing the same services, right? So making money is not a concern right now. As a company, we are growing, and we have got money from none other than Tiger Global, so we are very bullish about it. Our intention is that people remember us, that these guys brought something new to this country, and probably we really want, because we have seen it ourselves how travel changes a person. I've been a trekker. I trek quite a lot in Himalayas. I know what sort of impact it has. So the motivation to do it comes from somewhere else rather than just being money. Ultimately, you require a decent amount of money, and after that, doesn't make any sense or doesn't sort of make any difference to your life. That's our mental.
Okay, well, it sounds like even if the money's not the motivation, it does sound like you've got a pretty good solid base from diversified sources to bring in plenty of cash flow to support all of this and continue it to grow. So,
Yeah.
okay, so the money itself is not going to be simply just from the hostels, it's from a variety of different sources, all of them then supporting the entire chain.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah.
I can see why you're winning business plan awards.
See. Yeah.
Have you seen anything like this happening anywhere else in the industry or in any other industry?
So I didn't catch your question. Come again, please.
I said, have you seen a program like this happening anywhere else in the world, in the hospitality industry or in any other industry?
Frankly, in our knowledge, no. Right, we haven't seen this sort of program, but again, as I told you, our intention was something different. We wanted people to come forward and start hostels. So we thought, what the heck, what is this business secret and everything? There's no secret, right? It's all about execution. Why can't we put all this data in public domain, and whosoever will have the guts to go and execute it, he deserves it. So it's not that we have taken an inspiration for this program from somewhere else. We got this idea and we like, what the heck, let's just put it on the website. Let's see how many people turn up for it.
And you got a lot of interest.
Yeah.
So if somebody is interested in coming and working with you, getting involved with the program, learning about all of this, how would they go about, well, basically getting involved?
So we have right now closed down the entry. So we had a small form on our website. You fill up that form. There are certain questions around your motivation for getting into this program or how you plan to manage it. Because we want people who are not just investing, but who are also sort of giving up their own personal time. Maybe some people who are quitting their jobs or who are taking sabbatical to set up these hostels. So once we think you are a fitting candidate, our team gave call to somewhere around 1,000 people. Out of those interviews, those telephonic interviews, we selected 100 people. And now for last 15 days, I have been on road meeting these 100 people. I went across India, met these people, and then finally we have shortlisted around 40 people. So what happens now is I tell them specifications on what sort of property is suitable for a hostel. They go out in their city of interest, find out such properties, and I appoint a project manager for, let's say, 5 hostels. This guy is their single point of contact. He guides them everything. He guides them. He just has a look at their property, or he's basically supplies them our whatever brand specs we have. So he's their single point of contact. He handholds them and he guides them setting up the property. And once the property is up and running, our sales team comes into the picture and our onboarding team. Basically, we do the designing part. It's again an advisory role. If you want to do a design for the property on your own, please feel free to do it. If you want any help from our side, we are there to help you out. So going forward also, that after that we'll train the staff that these guys are going to hire. We'll have their live training at the current hostels which we are running. So whatever we can do, we are trying to do it on our behalf. It's a very simple process. But again, you need to see that you have the spark in you and you want to sort of sweat it out in the sun, looking for that right property. Because I think that's the most difficult part. If you have a good property at a good location, you're halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you said that if somebody has that kind of spark, are there specific characteristics that you think make for a really great hostel entrepreneur?
Yeah, I would say that. Because see, first thing that I'm looking for a person is the commitment. Right? A person should appreciate the concept of hostels. So there are a lot of people in India, let's say people who are running their guest houses who want to convert them into hostels. We don't want that sort of people. We want people who have probably backpacked themselves or at least who have a good understanding of this concept. We don't want a person with a servile attitude standing on the reception saying, "Yes, sir, picking up your bags" and all that. We don't want that. We want a person who is actually a backpacker who can interact with the travelers on the same wavelength, right? These sort of young people, a lot of them are there in the industry or in colleges. So we handpick those people, and also again the investment part. They need to have certain amount of, I would say, let's say if I give you the investment, I won't be able to judge your seriousness. So the investment part is again to judge your seriousness. If you cannot bring in even that small amount of investment from your side, I really don't know what you're going to do. Let's say 4 months down the line, in case you are under some sort of stress, you may end up running away. So rather than giving an upfront investment, we are trying to incentivize them. If you are sure that you can run a nice hostel, we'll incentivize you. So we have an incentivization of 10 lakh rupees. Let's say if you end up winning a Oscar, right, which Zostel Jaipur won this year. So if you win a Oscar, we'll straight away give you 3 lakh rupees. So that's sort of an incentive. If you are ranked 1 on TripAdvisor, we'll give you 1 lakh rupee. So those sort of incentives are there. If you are confident, you can run it, come forward, we'll help you out and we'll incentivize.
Okay, that's great. And you mentioned earlier about the 55 slide PowerPoint presentation about everything that you did. I actually took a look at that, which is a fantastic resource for anybody in the hostel industry, actually. And one thing that was really interesting, you mentioned the people who are working in the hostels, kind of what the staffing are. Most of the hostels, you said, are run by one property manager, between 1 and 3 front desk staff, 1 to 3 housekeepers, and a security guard, which is a really small team. Are the folks that are participating in this program, the entrepreneurs getting involved, starting these hostels, are they included in those numbers, or are they in addition to those staffing numbers?
See, generally the sort of applications we have got is there's a person who probably wants to start a hostel, can be there for 3 to 4 months till you have the teething problems until systems are in place. But eventually, if you are a property manager, we understand that you will get bored after 3 to 4 months. So they'll move out of it. So the plan is you stay there for 4 to 5 months, set the systems in place, hire a good property manager, right? Maybe a couple of or 2 or 3 front desk staff, 3 or 4 housekeeping staff, and 1 or 2 security guards based on your location. So I think this team is more than sufficient to run the operations. All you need to do is set up systems so that remotely you can monitor their performance. We'll also monitor it, you can also do it, but this guy is generally not included in the calculation. The property manager is somewhat different. But if you want to do it, you're really adamant that I want to be the property manager, go ahead. You will come back to us after 5 months or 6 months saying that I'm bored. Because this is what we have done, and we got really bored after 5 6 months.
I think there are a lot of folks out in the industry probably watching this video saying, you know, that would be really nice to step away for a little bit, have a property manager in there. And a lot of folks asking, how exactly can I do this? You make it sound like it's so easy. Just bring in somebody, get the team trained, check in on everybody every once in a while, and kind of take a hike, which sounds ideal. I hope that actually that works out. On the other hand, I imagine a lot of the people who really do have the drive for this might say I want to walk away, but would have a really hard time actually stepping away and getting out of there and just kind of leaving it for somebody else to run.
So Brian, in fact, since this is also sort of, we haven't done it in the past, whatever we did it on our own. This is sort of an experiment for us, and we are well prepared. Whatever we could do on the back end, we are ready with that. So we do expect that we will face certain problems, but we are ready to deal with those problems. We just sort of we have a good team in place. We are right now, we have a good amount of money. We have a good number of people with us. We have a lot of people who are willing to work along with us, right? So I think as a team we can pull it off. Challenges are bound to occur. They will be there, but we can take them in our fold. Yeah. It's not an easy job. I understand. Being a property manager, day in and day out, you have to handle n number of things, and especially in a country like India where the bureaucratic setup is such that you have to handle a lot of other things also. It becomes really difficult and sort of weighs down on you. It happens, but we are there to support all these people, and hopefully, let's see how it turns out. Hopefully, we'll be able to make it.
Yeah, I think that really is something that would set aside Zostel from some of the other hostels. For a person that wants to start up their own thing, if they don't have a team behind them, then they really are trying to run it on their own, or they have to build the team around themselves. Whereas you guys come in and you already have a very strong support network essentially established, where there's people to consult, there's people to help, to back up, to train, to answer questions. So yeah, actually that's it does make it sound like it'd be a lot easier to get into the business and then also to step away and kind of let the business take over and grow and develop itself. So yeah, you guys really have something unique there.
Yeah. That's the intention, because we understand this is a tough business. If you don't have a big team, setting up 1 hostel, 2 hostel, 3 hostel will burn out. Right? It becomes very difficult to select the right property, the entire onboarding process, haggling with carpenters, electricians, painters on a daily basis. It becomes really difficult. And when you are sort of having 2, 3 hostels, it becomes also difficult to manage the number of people who are coming in, managing performance reviews, cleanliness, everything becomes difficult. We need to have a big team. I think that's a big reason why a lot of young entrepreneurs come into this industry. If you are lucky, you get a big team, good. You're good to go in this industry. Otherwise, that's why people probably end up sitting in an office and creating an app which can give you an itinerary. You can just sit and see how many subscribers you are adding on a daily basis. But this is an industry which is actually infrastructure creation. You have to be on the ground. You have to get your hands dirty. You have to sweat it out. So I think that's something which stops a lot of people from coming into this industry. We are just trying to give a push, but still the people who are coming forward, they need to have a lot of grit. And I'm pretty sure we have selected certain really good people.
And you've mentioned a few times that you've got kind of a big picture view of pushing the idea, the concept of hostels, and getting it out in India and getting it out even abroad, educating people about the cultures and bring them all in together. Do you have greater goals? Yeah, you've mentioned that you want to expand rapidly in India and outside. Once you've covered that expansion, what happens next? Is there another big picture for the next step, or is that the step?
Sure. So as a team, as a company of Zostel Hospitality Private Limited, our vision is that people who are traveling on a budget, be it a business traveler or be it a backpacker, they also deserve something good, right? So basically, especially in Indian subcontinent, we see a lot of white space in this segment. There are good properties, good options if you are ready to pay the money. In unorganized segment, there are a huge number of rooms in unorganized segment, but again, there has been no innovation in the past 30-40 years. It's been still run the same way it has been running in the past. So through the infusion of technology and through the infusion of a new team which has experience, international experience in various domains, we want to carve out a brand in the entire, I would say, entire white space. Some part of it will be catering to business travelers and corporates through Zorooms. Some part will be catering it to leisure travelers through Zostel. Leisure travelers, backpackers through Zostel. So going forward, we are also going to come up. That's something I'm itching to share, but right now I can't share. But definitely we do have plans. So yeah, it's not just going to remain a hostel. We probably also get into Zostel offbeat, which would be like people who are having really good properties in some obscure locations. Let's say someone owns a tree house down somewhere in Himalayas, right? Something experiential, right? There the money is not going to be a foundation. Maybe you have to end up, so you have to spend a good amount of money on that. But this vision, the statement that what it's going to offer, it's there. So that is something very different. We want to bring those properties forward, right? We want people to go and experience it. The experience, I would say, is our main vision. People go out and experience, try to find out yourself. And I think Himalayas is the best place. I'm a big fan of Himalayas. So right now the vision is that just we would want people more and more to travel. And going forward, we also plan to solve this problem of, I would say, the travel activity market, which is the ancillary market, which is the adjacent market to this space. Let's say if you are sitting in Delhi and you are feeling adventurous today, on a click of an app, you should probably get the booking with the most trustworthy and most, I would say, the best facility offering guy in the vicinity. Cab probably should come, probably an Uber should come and pick you up. You go there, do your activity, come back, right? Then there are initiatives which I'm really impressed with, like Eat With. So it's basically trying to create a community of, let's say, if you go to a new city, why do you have to try a new restaurant? There are people who are ready to host you, right? These sort of, so right now what we see, the industry is moving from these specialized units to the community. So this sort of activity we want to do. There are a lot of people in India, in Himalayas, who have no access to technology. A lot of good companies running these rafting expeditions or running these mountain treks. They have no access to internet or no access to technology. If through use of technology, we can bring those people their services to the fore, right? Even let's say through a very small mobile phone, which is not even a smartphone, we can manage their inventory. I think that would be a big plus, that would be a big addition from my side, from our team side, towards that community which needs that sort of incentive. Because they are the ones who are offering great services, but still they're not getting a chance because of certain people who are in the front and who are sort of cheating and maligning the image of the country. So yeah, we really want to cut this clutter with technology.
It sounds like you guys have found a lot of areas where there's kind of like a white space where there's nothing there where you can reach into with different aspects, different ideas, much more than just the hostels, but kind of all the different white spaces you're hitting. I wonder what this is going to have on the competitive landscape there, because if you're suddenly bringing in all of these other businesses that were small time, that weren't able to reach out, and all of a sudden you're bringing them right up to the forefront, what is that going to do to the established tourism market? Whatever is there, the businesses, whether it's restaurants or it's tours or it's accommodation or something else. Have you thought about what kind of challenges you'll have there as you, well, essentially you go from the white space into what is somebody else's established territory? Do you know how you plan to address that?
Sure. So in fact, as far as challenges are concerned, even right now we face challenges. So being competitor to the unorganized hospitality space, in a place like Delhi, we do face at some amount of time, we do face threats from people walking in the street, right? That you are giving your rooms, your beds for so cheap amount. We get all sort of threats, right, on the street. But the problem right now is that so once we have solved this problem of hospitality sector, we are not getting into someone else's sector. That's the benefit of being born in a country like India. It's unorganized here, it's unorganized there, it's unorganized there. You can organize the entire three segments. So what Zostel is going to do us for us is it's going to provide us a base, a funnel, a trustworthy brand which people trust. So even if I have to venture into travel activity market, right now there are very few players, very few organized players, and their rates are damn high. They are mainly catering to corporates and business travelers or people who have high net worth. For business, for a college student or for a young corporate or for someone who's traveling on a budget, you still have to rely. I mean, it's a stroke of luck. You get a good service, you might not get a good service, right? So if there's a trustworthy brand which is handpicking these people, helping them to come in front and connecting them to the customers. So I think that would be our addition to this space. So right now I won't say that there's a lot happening in that space. These people need someone who can take them forward. There's no if there's an organized company which is doing the same thing, we'll be happy. But I don't think right now there's something of that sort happening. Even in restaurants, we don't plan to get into restaurants. Just that if we have space, we have these rooftop restaurants or something. My goal was, let's say if someone is visiting a small Himalayan village, if we have to organize certain activities around a hostel, those people who stay in villages around that hostel, they should get something out of it, right? Probably if I organize a village tour, or let's say if I organize lunch tour, or if I go and stay in someone's home for a few hours and eat with the family, those sort of things I'm trying to bring forward. So right now, it's not like someone is addressing those markets, but it's because of those people who are staying in those testing conditions, right? They also deserve some part of the pie that we are bringing. If we are able to bring in more people, they also deserve something out of it.
So it's right along the lines of the trend right now with the responsible, sustainable tourism, where you bring in the entire community to benefit from the people coming into the area.
Sure, definitely.
That's great.
Very important, because we have seen that as the tourist influx increases, for a place like Darjeeling used to be a beautiful place, but right now, if you look at the situation, because the tourist influx, traffic jam everywhere, it's very crowded. So, I mean, sustainability is very important, highlighting right areas, but still, you need to sort of make everyone your partner, and even the person who is coming to that place, I would want to urge through this channel, through this medium, that it's very important to understand that once in a lifetime opportunity we are getting. When the generations who are going to come after you have equal right on that. Sustainability is something very important, and going forward, right now we are too small for it, but going forward, once we get the chance, we'll definitely try to do our bit for everything, whatever we can.
And do you think that this is something that'll work because the market in India and the way the infrastructure that, well, basically is not there, is it a really unique situation? Would this plan, would your structure, would this work if it were opened somewhere else?
No, I would say that at least in Southeast Asia, for countries like India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan probably, but Bhutan has certain other focus, Bangladesh. So at least this belt, the problem is exactly the same. If you go further south, you go to Thailand or you go to Indonesia, there are still better markets, there are still some hostels already existing over there. But through technology, I won't say there's if you just look at the South Asian market, there's no one hostel brand that is emerging from it. For example, in Europe you have Generator, right? You have Plus Hostel, you have Wombat. In Australia also you have these hostel chains. But in South Asia, there's no single brand. Still, it's very unorganized. There are standalone hostels, most of them. So there is a scope. We see that there is scope, and in case we are good at something and we are able to replicate it outside India, we should be able to cover that market as well. So let's see again. It's still early days. Once we go to Thailand through our Pattaya property, we'll see what sort of do we really have it in us to copy paste the entire concept from here to there. And if we do that, why not? There's no limit to that.
I wish you the best of luck. It sounds like you've got the crew and you've got the experience and you've got some really great ideas and the people to back it up. So, yeah, it sounds like you got a very bright future ahead. I'm very curious to see how it's all going to develop and just how rapidly and how big it's going to get.
Sure, Brian. Thanks again for the kind words and kind wishes. We'll try our best. The most important part why we have been able to do whatever we have been able to do in future also, I'm pretty confident we'll be able to do it because we are a team of friends. We are a team of around 30 friends who have been really close knit together in college. We have done our college together and everything. People have quit really nice jobs, people working with McKinsey's and BCG's, quit their cushy jobs and they have come down to work with us. So it's the entire environment, entire culture that we maintain in our office keeps us happy, and we are pretty relaxed all the time. All these ideas come up and we are able to execute it. It's still early days to comment, but we are geared for it and we'll try our best to make people travel.
As long as you're working with good people and good friends, even when the challenges come up, they become, an adventure as opposed to a problem.
Sure. Definitely, becomes an adventure. Really enjoying it. This is the best time of my life. Yeah.
Well, I hope it continues. I hope you have just as much fun in the years to come with it.
Thanks a lot.
Once again, this is Akil Malik from Zostel, the first hostel chain in India that's exploding all around the country and beyond there. I'm Rucksack Brian from hostelmanagement.com. We're looking forward to seeing you again in the forum.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure.